Not only are Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus rex the two most popular dinosaurs to ever live, but they were also contemporaries who walked through the plains, bays, and forests of the northern Cretaceous of North America about 65 million years ago. It is inevitable that hungry T-Rex and vigilant Triceratops occasionally crossed. The question is, which of these dinosaurs would win the battle? Which creature would have the most advantages? Would T-Rex's bite impact the fight? And would this battle be about brute strength or strategy? If questions like this intrigue your curious mind, then this video is going to be the perfect place for you. We have already set up the battlefield, and now it is time to hunt down the answers. Let's start by getting to know our powerful fighters first. T-Rex doesn't need to be introduced, but let's take it. This tyrannical lizard king was one of the most terrifying killing machines in the history of life on Earth. The adults weighed about 7 or 8 tons and were equipped with massively muscular jaws studded with numerous sharp, shearing teeth. Despite all this, however, there is still some disagreement as to whether T-Rex was actively hunting for food or preferring to dig out already dead bodies. According to recent studies, T-Rex cut his prey with a force of 2 or 3 tons per square inch, comparing to 175 pounds or so for the average person. Judging by the size of his olfactory lobes, T-Rex also had a well-developed sense of smell, and his hearing and sight were probably better than the late Cretaceous average. One unconventional weapon could be the bad breath of T-Rex. The rotting pieces of meat stuck in the theropod's teeth could transmit deadly bacterial infections to any animal that was lucky enough to survive the initial bite. When we talked about T-Rex's weaknesses, as are arms races, T-Rex was a relentless flop. The dinosaur's hands were so short and stocky that they would be almost useless in combat if he did not hold the nearly dead or dying prey close to his chest. Also, despite what you've seen in movies like Jurassic Park, T-Rex was probably not the fastest dinosaur on Earth's surface. An adult running on full speed might not match a 5-year-old kindergarten on practice wheels. Now let's look at the other participant in the battle, Triceratops. All of the theropods, a family of carnivorous dinosaurs that included T-Rex, looked vaguely the same, but Triceratops had a more pronounced profile. The dinosaur's head measured 1/3 the length of its entire body. Some preserved skulls measured more than 7 feet and was abnormal for an extensive ruffle, 2 dangerous forward-facing horns, and a smaller protrusion at the end of its body muscle. The adult Triceratops weighed 3 or 4 tons, about half the size of its Tyrannosaurus nemesis. Did we mention the corners? Very few dinosaurs, whether carnivorous or otherwise, would care to be bitten by Triceratops, although it is not clear how useful these clumsy weapons would be in the heat of battle. Like many of the great carnivores of its time, Triceratops was built low above the ground, giving it a stubborn center of gravity that would make it very difficult for this dinosaur to decide to stand up and fight. Although plant-eating dinosaurs of the late Cretaceous period were not exactly the smartest, as a general rule, carnivores tend to have more advanced brains than herbivores, which means that Triceratops would be much better off with T-Rex in the IQ department. Also, while we don't know how fast T-Rex was able to run, the bet is to be sure that even the toughest adult was faster than the cumbersome 4-legged Triceratops, who didn't need to chase anything faster than a giant fern. Now that we have a pretty good idea of the strengths and weaknesses of our two participants, now let's find out who would dominate whom in the combat scenario. Suppose for the moment that this particular T-Rex is tired of looking for food and wants a hot lunch for a change. He caught a breath of grazing Triceratops, sped off at top speed, and hit the herbivore in the side with a massive head. Triceratops balances but manages to stay on his elephant legs and clumsily turns his giant head to inflict injury on his horns. T-Rex throws himself into Triceratops' throat, but instead collides with his massive collar and the two dinosaurs fell awkwardly to the ground. The battle hangs in the balance. Which warrior climbs to his feet first, either to escape or to throw himself to the slaughter? Triceratops. T-Rex, swayed by his tiny arms, needs a few precious seconds to rise from the ground. Meanwhile, Triceratops has risen to all fours and plunged into the bushes. Somewhat embarrassed, T-Rex finally stands on his own 2 feet and sets off in search of smaller, more manageable prey. Perhaps a nice carcass of a recently deceased hadrosaur. But Triceratops has those powerful ceratopsian horns that seem unstoppable. T-Rex tries to use that strong bite here and there, but Triceratops has a clear advantage. It can turn very quickly. This means that he will always keep his weapon skull between himself and the attacker, which will prevent the Tyrannosaur from having any bite holes. If T-Rex gets too close, Triceratops can hit his skull and end the fight. If the Tyrannosaurus is hit by even a slight slash, I believe that fight will end. The Tyrannical King could retreat even after a single wound, knowing that the risk of death was too great. Hence, amongst the two, the Triceratops is the one dominating and winning the combat. Well, that was today's video. Thanks a ton for watching it. Let us know how you like it in the comments. Also, subscribe to our channel and stay tuned as we bring more engaging content to your screen. Until then, take care and discover more. Peace.